S&P Ratings predicts that the deepening economic relations between China and Saudi Arabia, it will boost the use of yuan for oil purchases.
The decades-long petrodollar agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia has come to an end.
Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 initiative aims to transform its economy, potentially elevating yuan's role in bilateral trade.
For 50 years, the world has run on a single, unspoken rule. To buy oil, you needed American dollars. This wasn't just a convenience, it was the foundation of America's economic power. But what if the rules are starting to bend? In a potentially historic shift, two of the world's largest oil producers, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, are opening the door to a new currency for their most precious resource, China's yuan. While this is far from a complete break with the dollar, it's a tremor that could signal a slow-moving earthquake in the global economy, potentially challenging a century of American financial supremacy. Section 1. The Petrodollar's Unbreakable Pact. To understand just how significant this is, we need to hop back to the 1970s. The US had just ditched the gold standard and the dollar's value was on shaky ground. In a stroke of geopolitical genius, Washington made a deal with Saudi Arabia. The US would provide military support, and in return, the kingdom would price all of its oil exports in US dollars. Before long, the rest of OPEC followed suit. This was the birth of the petrodollar system. It wasn't just about oil, it was about making sure every nation, friend or foe, needed a constant supply of greenbacks to power their economies. This created a permanent, artificial demand for the US dollar, cementing it as the world's primary reserve currency. This system gave the United States an incredible economic advantage. It allowed America to run massive trade deficits and borrow what seemed like endless amounts of money. More importantly, it gave Washington control over the plumbing of global finance. By controlling the dominant currency, the US could lock any country out of the global economy with sanctions, a power it has used often. For half a century, this system seemed unshakable. But today, the foundation has some cracks, and they're spreading faster than many in Washington might want to admit. Section 2. A changing map and shifting trust. So, what's changed? Why now? The answer is a perfect storm of shifting alliances, new economic realities, and a serious loss of trust. First, the global energy map has been completely redrawn. Thanks to its own shale revolution, the United States isn't as reliant on Middle Eastern oil. At the same time, China has become the world's largest oil importer, and its biggest customer is Saudi Arabia. As the old saying goes, the customer is always right. As China's economic influence has grown, so has its diplomatic muscle. During a visit to Riyadh in December 2022, Chinese President Xi Jinping openly called for oil and gas trade to be settled in yuan. Since then, talks have been active, with Saudi officials confirming their openness to the idea. This isn't a hostile takeover, it's a strategic realignment. Saudi Arabia, as part of its Vision 2030 plan, is looking to diversify its partnerships, and its biggest client is in the East. But perhaps the most powerful catalyst for this conversation wasn't a trade deal. It was a warning shot. When the West imposed sweeping sanctions on Russia and froze hundreds of billions of its foreign currency reserves, it sent a shockwave across the globe. Nations everywhere saw just how easily the dollar could be weaponized. The unspoken threat became an undeniable reality. Your dollar reserves are only yours as long as you stay in Washington's good graces. This single act accelerated the search for an alternative, turning de-dollarization from a fringe theory into an urgent priority for many countries. Section 3. The Petro-Yuan and the dawn of a new financial order. This isn't just about Saudi Arabia and Qatar tentatively accepting a new currency. It's about the deliberate construction of a parallel financial universe, one designed to operate outside of America's control. The vehicle for this potential revolution is the expanded BRICS alliance. Originally Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the BRICS bloc has grown, inviting energy powerhouses like the UAE, Iran, and Egypt. Saudi Arabia has also officially joined the group. Together, these nations represent a huge portion of the world's population, GDP, and, most critically, its oil and gas production. Their stated goal is to build a multipolar world, and a primary tool for that is chipping away at the dollar's monopoly. Their strategy is multi-layered. First, there's the concept of the Petro-Yuan itself. In 2018, China launched its own yuan-denominated crude oil futures contract on the Shanghai International Energy Exchange. This created an alternative to the dollar price benchmarks, allowing any country to buy and sell oil completely in yuan. To make it more attractive, China offers a powerful incentive. Oil can be paid for in yuan, and that yuan can then be converted into gold on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Second, they are building the infrastructure to make the dollar less necessary. The Brics nations are developing Brics Pay, a payment system intended to allow them to transact directly in their own local currencies, reducing reliance on the Western-dominated SWIFT network. While still in its early stages, it shows clear ambition. But the real game-changer might be Project M-Bridge. This isn't just a plan, it's a functioning platform that has reached the minimum viable product stage. Developed by the Bank for International Settlements and the central banks of China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the UAE, M-Bridge is a platform for central bank digital currencies CBDCs. In a move that sent ripples through the financial world, the Saudi central bank has officially joined Project M-Bridge as a full participant. Think about what that means. A Chinese refiner could buy oil from Saudi Aramco and settle the transaction in digital yuan and digital reals in seconds. The entire process would bypass the dollar, the SWIFT network, and any American bank or regulator. It is a frictionless financial superhighway, and the US isn't even on the map. If you're getting value from this breakdown of the new global financial landscape, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what comes next as this story unfolds. Section 4. The Economic Tremors and Aftershocks. So, what happens if the world gradually needs fewer dollars to buy oil? The consequences, especially for the United States, could be significant. For decades, the world's demand for petrodollars has created a massive, captive market for U.S. debt. Nations bought U.S. Treasury bonds to store their dollar reserves. This fire hose of foreign cash allowed the U.S. government to borrow cheaply. If that demand slowly dries up, borrowing costs could rise. For the average American, a potential long-term risk is inflation. There are trillions of U.S. dollars held overseas. If countries decide they no longer need them and start selling them off over time, those dollars could flow back to American shores, potentially creating inflationary pressure. Globally, this signals a clear shift toward a multipolar world. The change won't happen overnight. Replacing a system as entrenched as the petrodollar is a monumental task, and the yuan still faces challenges with full convertibility and trust. Most economists believe we are headed for a multipolar currency system, where the dollar coexists with the yuan and other currency blocks. But make no mistake, the transition is underway. Every barrel of oil sold for yuan is another small chip at the foundation of the old order. It's a gradual erosion of dominance, but it's accelerating. To recap, the 50-year-old petrodollar system, a bedrock of American financial power, is facing its most serious challenge yet. Key oil producers like Saudi Arabia and Qatar are exploring alternatives and pivoting toward their largest customer, China, showing a clear willingness to discuss trading their black gold for the yuan. This is not happening in a vacuum. It is part of a broader strategy by the expanded Brics alliance to build a new financial architecture. From payment systems like the proposed Brics Pay to digital currency platforms like M-Bridge that can operate outside the US dollar's orbit. The stakes are high. This is far more than a simple shift in how oil is bought and sold. It is a fundamental realignment of global economic and political power, with the potential to reshape the world for generations to come. The pieces are all in motion on the global chessboard. The question is no longer if the dollar's dominance will be challenged, but how quickly. The Petro-Yuan conversation is here. What do you think will be the next pillar of the old order to face a challenge? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to understand the technology powering this revolution, check out our next video breaking down exactly how Project M-Bridge works. Thanks for watching.